107.3 KFFM, Sarah J, broadcasting live in the studio on this gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. And I do have to say, I've got two very important guests. I've got Chevy and I've got Diesta. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Thank you very much for being here. I know we've got some issues going on in our valley right now. We definitely, for a while, we've had some gang issues. So I thank you guys for both taking time out of your guys' day to kind of talk a little bit about these issues. And you both have a bit of experience in the gang life, I guess.
Yes.
Which one of you would like to go first?
I guess I can go.
All right, Chevy. If you would break down a little bit your background, where you're from, when you started to get into the gangs, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Texas. I moved up to Washington when I was about 8-9 years old. And so we just moved up here, just, migrant workers. Never exposed to gangs, drugs, none of that. And so it was in the early 90s when gangs kind of migrated to the Washington state. I started hanging around with, known gang members and stuff. And then eventually, got what they call jump in, you get, brought into the gang. And so that's kind of where my thing just started. And so growing up, I experienced a little bit of bullying and stuff like that. And so my thing was, I would always say that I would never do this, but now I am doing it and people were going to know, and I was committed 110% to that lifestyle.
To that gang lifestyle.
Yep.
How old were you when you got jumped in?
I was 13 years old.
Were your brothers and sisters aware that you were involved in this stuff?
Yeah, they were in the beginning. And so, they knew. And so I tried my best to keep them away from it. They weren't allowed to be a part of the gang.
Right.
But eventually, I couldn't control that anymore.
And so your brothers and sisters got involved as well.
Well, my younger brothers did.
Did your mom know?
And not really, and that's funny because, even the way we would dress, we would tell her to buy us, the Dickies and the Nike Cortezes. And she thought it was, we're just buying you shoes. But no, it was, yeah.
So that's a red flag right there. If you've got a parent that's listening right now, the clothing that they're asking you to buy is a big red flag.
Oh, yeah.
If they're asking for all a certain color of clothing.
Certain colors, I know certain, gangs wear certain things.
Right.
So yeah, it's a dead giveaway when you have them wearing red, blue, or other colors that represent a gang. Yep.
Oh, so there's more than just red and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're taking all my colors. All right. So Diesta, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little background on how you started this whole business.
So I actually come from a large family. I'm known for gang activity. I was kind of raised up in that life where that was mainly what I was taught, and that's all I knew. I didn't know anything different. I was lucky enough to kind of get out of that at an earlier age because I ended up getting pregnant and having to raise a family. But I actually had brothers and a husband that ended up involved in that. And so it was like I could never fully escape that. But it was something that was normal to me. So what I ended up doing was kind of just stepping in and trying to be that person to help them change. I obviously didn't know the way either, so I kind of fell into following along in those footsteps as well. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but they ended up changing their life. I changed my life, and so what we're basically going back and doing now is trying to help other kids that are kind of lost, that have been deceived and just don't know where they're going, try to help them, find their way. And we're just being a support, just loving them, helping them to know the difference between what real love and, what they think love is right now. So,
right. Yeah. Could you give an example of a type of love that you would get from a gang that is a very typical type of love?
I think right now what the gangs are really putting out there for children to think what love is, putting in work or, missing school or going and doing all these things for their hood. And it really kind of it pressures them to make really bad decisions, and it steers them into a direction I think that they don't know that they're headed. And it eventually lands them in prison, or it takes them to the grave. And we're basically just trying to be like, hey, Ben there did that, and this is where it can lead. It can lead. Just show them what real love is, and hopefully they'll get to decide for themselves.
Well, you're jumped into a gang, and it's for life. How are you guys here able to talk about this outside of that?
Well, for me, I was kind of one of the first ones part of the gang that I was a part of. And so I made a decision, to move away.
Okay.
And say, hey, I'm changing my life.
Cut it off.
Yeah, cut it off. And the reason, because I found out that I was going to be a father. So that totally changed everything. And so I didn't want my son growing on around that. And so I just made a decision to move away and just kind of made a stand. And most times you have the same way you get jumped in, you have to get jumped out, but it's worse getting out. And I was willing to do that. But I think the guys, they really seen, okay, this guy's really trying to change.
They left you, left
me
you
alone. Yeah. And I just ended up moving
out. But you got to basically
relocate.
You got to relocate. Can you come back?
I've been around. I've seen,
Right.
I've seen, old friends and
Right.
stuff, but I think they see that, okay, Chevy doesn't look like the Chevy we knew
Right.
back then.
That's not
Obviously,
the
it's
same
changed.
Chevy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got tattoos and stuff like that, but
Right.
my heart's been changed, and my view of life towards that is I don't see it the same way anymore. Yeah.
If there's a teen out there that's listening to this and they wanted some different access, do you have any good resources for them to look into? I know there's YPAL. We talk about YPAL.
Beauchamp Center's there. I mean,
There we go.
us personally, I mean, we're trying to create, we want a youth center. We want a
Yes.
center that is really, it's built by the community. So community funded. It's not state or city funded, but it's a community where it's safe. These kids can come. And our dream is where these kids, whether they want to learn graphics,
Right.
music, cooking, they get to use their skills, the things that they like, and see it out in our city, and it becomes, who knows, it brings in more revenue,
Right, right,
because a lot of times I think in Yakima we want to focus on downtown.
Right.
But really, if you go 2 blocks to the right or the left, I mean, you're
Natchez.
we
Go
call
to
it
the
we
left,
call it the ghetto. Like you're right in the ghetto, and so that's real. So we're just almost trying to put a Band-Aid on it, but it's like
We can't put, the Band-Aid's not going to fix it.
It's not going to work.
I like that. Well, we got the Art Awareness Project. I know that Lisa had put that together, and they've got their first fundraiser coming up too. So I'm going to post all of this information on our website, kffm.com. Do you guys want to leave anybody with anything that you just really, you want to make sure that you are getting the message out?
I just think, man, if we work together as a community, we can change the city. I've been here 20 years, over 20 years, came from poverty to, bettering my life. And again, it was people that just took the time to show up. Sometimes, yes, I didn't respond well to people that didn't come from the lifestyle I did, but then when they show that tough love and were there, then it kind of got my attention to say, okay, these people really do care. They're not just here for the money, or, they really love us. And so, and that's I'm a product of that. And so I think as a community, when we come together, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you can help, it isn't, sometimes you might not be there physically, but you can say, hey, I can help in another way, financially or whatever. That's what we need.
We need everybody's help in all different facets. Thank you, Chevy. And Diesta, anything from you that you'd like to impart on the community while we've got their ear?
Yes, I would say, I know it sounds a little corny, but I would say love changes everything. I think I'm a huge believer in second chances, instead of pushing, the little gang member aside, or, the little convict that you feel like can't make a turnaround. I would say give that person a second chance, have faith in them. And if they screw up, give them another chance. I just think we need a community that believes that people can actually change. And, just speaking life into somebody can just change how someone else, views themselves. And I think that it'll empower them to actually make that change. So
I love that. We do. We have to, everybody that's broken, because we're all broken in some way, we got to pick each other up, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be super easy. We got a big, long road ahead of us, but to have people like you guys in the corner is awesome. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to share this personal story. Thank you. Thank you,
you're
guys.
welcome. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's 107.3 KFFM.